Thank you so much, dear Ms. Sochite, for leading the session. We have just witnessed a very meaningful ceremony that symbolizes ERIA and Cambodia's strong support and appreciation to each other. Moving on to the next agenda, we are going to hear keynote speeches from distinguished speakers across the region. Please allow me to call on the first speaker, Honorable Pehin Datu Laila Raja, Major General, Dato Paduka Seri Haji Awang Halbi bin Haji Muhammad Yusuf, Minister at the Prime Minister's Office of Brunei Darussalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to join virtually the East Asia Energy Forum this year and to offer some views on ASEAN challenges on carbon neutrality and energy security. I therefore would like to commend the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia for its continuous effort in bringing global attention to one of the region's current greatest challenges. My thanks also to the Ministry of Mines and Energy of the Kingdom of Cambodia and the Energy Research Institute Network in the East Asia region for co-hosting this important forum. Distinguished participants, the world is currently going through different stages of recovery from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, but the effects of climate change continue to be felt seemingly stronger than before. Frequent occurrences of extreme weather events have led to considerable loss of life and property and threaten the livelihoods of communities around the world. Failing to act decisively and collectively now may prove to be detrimental to global security, development, and prosperity. The energy sector, which contributes 3/4 of the global carbon emission, definitely plays a prominent role in climate solution. The actions in addressing climate change, therefore, have to be effective and comprehensive, and I believe that every country has the responsibility to address it based on the principles of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. Distinguished participants, one of Brunei Darussalam's key priorities is to safeguard the welfare of our people as reflected in the Vision 2035 Development Plan. A key part of this plan includes ensuring a clean, green, and healthy environment for every citizen. The Brunei Darussalam National Climate Change Policy, launched in 2020, also outlines the nation's aspiration towards achieving a cleaner and sustainable economy. And at COP26 last year in Glasgow, Brunei Darussalam has announced the intent of moving towards net zero by 2050, which will primarily be driven by a transformational shift in the energy sector through clean energy transition. In this regard, various initiatives have been undertaken to achieve an environmentally sustainable energy sector that include, firstly, diversifying our energy base, which aim to increase our renewable energy share in the total energy mix by at least 20% or 200 megawatt by 2025, and by at least 30% or 300 megawatt by 2035, which primarily focus on large-scale solar, both ground-mounted and floating. Secondly, grid modernization, which ensures future-ready, resilient, reliable, and secure energy delivery system to prepare for the large-scale renewable energy integration to the grid system, including timely deployment of utility-scale energy storage battery system. Thirdly, the adoption of emerging green technologies such as hydrogen and CCUS, which we have actively participated in research activities for the transportation of hydrogen under atmospheric conditions over long distances. And fourthly, wider electrification, particularly in the transportation sector, which aims to increase the share of total annual sales for electric vehicles up to 60% by 2035. These strategies will steer our decarbonization course while stimulating the nation's long-term economic growth. We therefore openly welcome collaborations with international players on new and emerging clean technologies to be tried out in Brunei Darussalam, and also call for more cooperation in the areas of research and development, renewable and clean energy financing policy, and exchanges of best practices and accelerating our energy transition strategies. Distinguished participants, energy transition is a collective regional and global effort. It is only when the international community comes together to ensure access to renewable and clean energy resources, financing and decarbonisation technologies, while we be able to address the challenges of carbon neutrality while ensuring the current and future energy security of the region. Brunei Darussalam will therefore continue to explore and deepen our cooperation on energy transition initiatives with our ASEAN neighbors, key ASEAN dialogue partners, and international organizations, particularly in the areas of low-carbon solution, climate action, and regional capacity building. Through ASEAN Plan of Action on Energy Cooperation Phase 2, 2021 to 2025 of the ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting process, Brunei Darussalam is fully committed to support the region's energy targets of increasing the components of renewable energy to 20% in its energy mix, including by increasing the share of renewable energy in installed power capacity to 35% by 2025 and increasing the energy intensity reduction target to 32% for the region by 2025. In addition, the Bandar Seri Begawan Joint Declaration on Energy Security and Energy Transition, adopted during the 39th last year in September, has provided further impetus to pursue the goal of the region's energy security while transitioning its diverse energy system towards lower emission. This joint declaration, together with other Brunei Darussalam-led initiatives, particularly the wide education and training exchanges on the role of natural gas in advancing our low-carbon energy transition, and ASEAN Energy Establishment and Climate Change Organization cooperation on energy issues, have given strong momentum to the implementation of the APEX Phase 2. Towards that end, I am confident that ASEAN has all the prerequisites to move towards a carbon neutrality pathway, with several countries in the region have already announced ambitious target of reaching net zero and contributing positively to the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals and the 2015 Paris Agreement. Let me now conclude that each country's carbon neutrality pathway will differ and will be heavily dependent on their domestic circumstances, in particular the access to renewable and clean energy resources. We will need to work with regional and global partners to navigate the energy transition. It is of paramount importance for the energy community to come together, share expertise, exchange ideas, and explore solutions. Brunei Darussalam is ready to play its part in this important global issue with the rest of our neighbors in the region. We must succeed in generating the political commitment and momentum to move ahead with bold urgency and practical action to meet this great challenge. With that, together we can address the challenges of carbon neutrality while ensuring current and future energy security of the region to create a sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you.
His Excellency Susan, Minister of Mines and Energy Cambodia, Professor Hidetoshi Nishimura, President of Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to take part in the 5th East Asia Energy Forum. I would like to convey my appreciation to the Ministry of Mines and Energy Cambodia and the area that hosts this prestigious event. I sincerely hope we can discuss and share ASEAN's challenges on carbon neutrality and energy security. Southeast Asia is one of the world's most vulnerable regions in terms of climate change. The ASEAN member states' energy sector contributed 1.4 gigaton of CO2 emissions, or 4% of global energy-related CO2 emissions in 2018. Therefore, we remain committed with the Paris Agreement goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. ASEAN region, with its enormous resources on clean and renewable energy, should putting its best effort in accelerating the transition to achieve carbon neutrality in accordance with national circumstances and priorities. In achieving energy transition and carbon neutrality target, most ASEAN member states are facing several challenges, among others, the high cost of renewable energy, lack of financial support, and low carbon technology development, as well as human resource capacity. That's why international and regional collaborations are required in addressing both the challenges and opportunities in achieving the energy and climate objectives. As we also face a global energy crisis caused by high energy prices and market volatility, disruptions to energy supply chains, and the COVID-19 pandemic, we have to underline the urgency to rapidly transform energy systems to be more secure, reliable, and resilient by further develop renewable energy. In case of Indonesia, we already developed an energy transition roadmap to achieve net zero emission by 2060 or sooner. Within this roadmap, we aim to develop 700 gigawatts of renewables in the energy mix coming from solar, hydro, ocean, geothermal, as well as hydrogen and nuclear. Indonesia has also set a strategy of phasing down coal-fired power plants based on a maximum 30 years contract. The capacity will increase until 2030, and after that, the last coal-fired power plants will end in 2058. Indonesia is also planning to build supergrid to ramp up renewable energy development, while also maintaining the electrical system stability and security. It will open up an opportunity to export electricity to other ASEAN countries, as well as connect it to Asian power grid. For Indonesia, the role of oil and gas in the energy transitions remain crucial. The oil and gas demand are still growing, especially in transportation sector, and the development of gas sector also important in bridging the transition from fossil fuels to renewables. Coal is still main energy resource and a buffer for Indonesia until renewable energy can reach the expected portion according to the target of national energy mix. The government prioritizes increasing the added value of minerals such as nickel and cobalt as a raw material that could be utilized to produce batteries for vehicle and storage. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a strong commitment from ASEAN member states to jointly integrate initiatives on clean and renewable energy development is the solid foundation for a successful transition to a more sustainable future. I sincerely hope that this forum will open our way of thinking in facing various energy transition issues to achieve carbon neutrality and energy security. Thank you.
His Excellency Sisen, Minister of Mine and Energy Cambodia, His Excellency Dato Lim Jong Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, Professor Hidetoshi Nishimura, President of ERIA, and distinguished guests. My name is Nakatani Shinichi, State Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry, Japan. Thank you very much for inviting me to this special forum. It is my great honor to deliver remarks on behalf of the government of Japan. The world is facing an urgent need to address climate change as a common global challenges, especially in light of the recent global events such as major natural disasters, and extreme weather. In particular, it is essential not only for developed countries but also for emerging countries to take action towards global carbon neutrality in order to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement. In promoting these efforts in Asia, we must pay close attention to the unique circumstance of each country, such as geographical conditions and stage of development. Besides, it is necessary to respond to multiple challenges such as securing stable and affordable energy and achieving sustainable economic growth. Today, in the wake of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the global energy situation is changing dramatically. I believe that now is the time to promote a well-balanced energy transitions that addresses climate change while ensuring sufficient energy supply in the short term and energy security in the middle to long term. Meanwhile, in ASEAN, energy demand is expected to grow alongside economic growth. This means that in order to achieve carbon neutrality in the future, a great deal of effort needs to be made. In doing so, I believe that three important points need to be taken into account. First, it is important to recognize that there is no single pathway for energy transitions. Rather, there are many different paths depending on each country's unique circumstance. Therefore, it is most effective to promote efforts according to each country's energy situation and technological capability. Second, in pursuing energy transitions, it is necessary to facilitate various kinds of innovation towards the establishment and dissemination of decarbonisation technologies through research and development in order to enable ASEAN countries to explore all types of energy resource and technologies. In addition to maximizing the use of renewable energy and energy efficiency improvement, it is necessary to effectively utilize various options such as co-firing and mono-firing of biomass, hydrogen and ammonia, CCUS, carbon recycling, and to promote the decarbonization of thermal power plants. Doing so will allow for pragmatic energy transitions. Third, it is necessary to actively engage with ASEAN countries. Energy transitions cannot be achieved by a single country. Cross-border public-private decarbonization is essential to promote innovations in decarbonized technologies, facilitate their adoption, and develop supply chains of decarbonized fuel. Japan has supported such various and realistic energy transitions efforts in ASEAN. Under the Asian Energy Transitions Initiative, AETI, which was launched last June, actual cooperation has materialized. For the massive support of ERIA and IEEJ, discussions of the formulation of the roadmap for the energy transitions are in progress with some ASEAN countries. In addition, private financial institutions in Japan, Asia, and Europe have been discussing how finance should support energy transitions in the ASEAN region. And a new guideline will be released at the end of September as a result of these discussions. Furthermore, in the Asia CCUS network, an international industry, academia, government platform, with the participation of ASEAN countries, the US, Australia, and India, various workshops, seminars, and research studies have been conducted for knowledge sharing and human resource development to utilize CCUS across Asia. On September 26, Japan will hold the second Asian Green Growth Partnership Ministerial Meeting, AGGPM. Ministers from Asia, the Middle East, other relevant countries and regions, and representatives of international organizations will discuss the issue that need to be addressed to accelerate energy transitions in Asia, and how international cooperation should be conducted. The outcomes of the discussions at this meeting will be utilized for specific initiative in the future. Once again, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for this wonderful opportunity today. I look forward to meeting you all in person when the difficult situation caused by COVID-19 is resolved. Thank you very much.
His Excellency Su Sem, Minister of Mines and Energy, Cambodia, His Excellency Dato Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, Professor Hidetoshi Nishimura, President of the Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, fellow ministers from the ASEAN and East Asia Summit region, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to everyone. First, let me express my deepest appreciation to ERIA, the Energy Research Institute Network, and Ministry of Mines and Energy, Cambodia, in collaboration with the ASEAN Energy Business Forum, for organizing the 5th East Asia Energy Forum. The Philippines is committed to accelerate and expand the development of the country's indigenous energy resources in order to provide accessible and affordable energy to the Filipino people as we transition to a sustainable, low-carbon future. Needless to say, we have to optimize the use of the country's indigenous resources in order to provide energy security in the country. To achieve this, the department in its latest iteration of the Philippine Energy Plan detailed a comprehensive roadmap of programs and projects for the energy sector. We have formulated in our PEP a clean energy scenario, which was expanded to highlight the use of renewable energy and other technologies, strengthen implementation of the energy efficiency and conservation, implement appropriate information and communications technologies in the energy chain, and build up energy resiliency. Under the clean energy scenario, we aim to transform clean energy and low carbon future through the following: moratorium on new greenfield coal-fired power plants, maintaining and increasing natural gas generation through the establishment of LNG receiving terminals and regasification facilities, encouraging hydro and geothermal power plants, focusing on energy efficiency as first priority fuel, pursuing nuclear and hydrogen as alternative fuels, and studying carbon capture, utilization, and storage as may be feasible and applicable. On the promotion of renewable energy, we have laid out in our National Renewable Energy Program 2020 to 2040 our goal to reach at least 35% share in the power generation mix by 2030 and 50% by 2040. We acknowledge that RE plays a major role in achieving our objectives in energy security by reducing our dependence on imported fossil fuels while protecting our environment and implementing climate change mitigation and adaptation actions in the energy sector. We will likewise effect capacity building activities in the industry by providing more jobs and inclusive growth through the utilization of renewable energy in the remote parts of the country. We recently released an offshore wind roadmap for the Philippines in cooperation with the World Bank. Under the said roadmap, the Philippines has a potential installation capacity of 21 gigawatts of offshore wind with the right long-term vision, infrastructure development investments, and policies. In addition, we are also in cooperation with the Asian Development Bank and World Bank in developing a coal transition roadmap. In the Philippines, we banner and promote energy efficiency as a way of life for our consumers. The country is likewise aggressively pursuing the development and deployment of alternative energy fuels and emerging technologies to provide greater energy supply security and access to cleaner and efficient technologies. Current undertakings include electric and hybrid vehicles, increasing the biofuel blend, and assessing the feasibility of installing hydrogen and other technologies in the power system. Earlier this year, the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act was passed into law, which provides for a national policy framework to develop the electric vehicle industry in the Philippines. As we envision for our country to be energy secure in the years to come, I hope that the 5th EAEF will be a great avenue to discuss various perspectives, technologies, and best practices to achieve this goal. I would like to encourage everyone to share their thoughts and ideas in every session of the events ahead of us. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay.
Excellency, Mr. Soesem, Minister of Mines and Energy, Cambodia. Excellency, Energy Minister. Excellency, Secretary General of ASEAN. Honorable Delegate, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It's my pleasure to attend the 5th East Asia Energy Forum today. On behalf of Ministry of Energy of the Royal Thai Government, I would like to thank the Government of Cambodia as the 5th EAEF host and Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia for inviting me to join this important forum. Apparently, the situation of COVID-19 is now getting better around the world. Thailand urgently needs to transform our energy sector to best fit to the new context of global economy toward green growth. However, the impact of the unprecedented situation has made energy market volatile and become more vulnerable as we see. The implications of supply shortage and the increase of overall energy costs for today have a deep impact on energy security for countries around the world. This high energy cost could distract its country effort toward long-term decarbonization with the short-term agenda nominated by domestic energy security, in which they are largely dependent on fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas, for example. Thailand is moving forward at the same direction as the global trend to achieve low carbon economy with strong effort and intensive policies and measures. So we are making the effort to move realistic and well-balanced energy transition pathway. Right now, we are aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emission and promote advanced green energy system while achieving energy security and economic competitiveness. In Glasgow, Thailand pledged to increase the target in our nationally determined contribution or NDC to 40% to put the country on track to reach carbon neutrality by 2050 and net zero emission by 2065. To achieve such a pathway, Thailand is currently developing the National Energy Plan or NEP 2022, which include sector-specific plan in power, oil, and gas, energy efficiency, and also alternative energy, for example. Meanwhile, the most recent Power Development Plan or PDP 2022 includes a goal to increase the share of clean energy for new power generation by 50% within 2040. This plan lay out a framework for Thailand to deploy technologies in utility scale and distributed renewable energy generation, electric mobility, energy storage, and also grid modernization. Ladies and gentlemen, Thailand is now actively moving toward a major global production base of electric vehicle or EV and their part. The Energy or the National Electric Vehicle Policy Committee has approved the goal of promoting the zero emission vehicle or ZEV under the 30 at 30 policy. aiming to promote domestic production of EV up to 30% of the total production within 2030, for example. We also upgrade our grid modernizations and implement a peer-to-peer blockchain renewable energy trading platform in our country for residential projects using solar rooftop. For utility-scale solar energies, we are installing approximately 2,700 megawatt for hydro floating solar hybrid on top of various hydropower reservoirs in Thailand. In the energy roadmap, our future decarbonization technologies involve green or carbon capture utilization and storage or CCUS, battery energy storage system or BESS, carbon recycling and green hydrogen technologies, including a newly introduced BCG model or Bio-Circular Green Economy model that will be announced at the next APEC Summit in November this year. To support those technology deployments, we need to intensify cooperation on green finance and investment, as well as preparing legal mechanism to support our low carbon and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I wish the 5th East Asia Energy Forum will lead us to a joint effort to make a significant progress to overcome all major challenges and pave the way to reach our own energy transition goals. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Brad Crabtree, Assistant Secretary for the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management in the United States Department of Energy. I'm happy to join you by video, and I'm honored to add my voice to those of my colleagues in the East Asia Summit region who will be speaking with you this morning. I want to thank the Economic Research Institute for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and East Asia, the Energy and Information Research Network, and the Cambodian Ministry of Mines and Energy for hosting this year's East Asia Energy Forum, and for providing me the opportunity to highlight what we are doing in the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management to help the U.S. reach a net zero emissions economy by 2050. This year's forum is taking place during a particularly critical time, one of ongoing recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as global economic, energy supply, and geostrategic concerns, all made more acute by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Even as we address these urgent economic and energy security challenges, we have a narrow and closing window of opportunity to avert the worst impacts of climate change. We must ensure energy security, build sustainable supply chains, and significantly accelerate reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, all at the same time. Countries around the world are taking committed action to address these interconnected challenges. At the end of the day, it comes down to this question: how do we transform our economies to achieve net zero emissions while simultaneously ensuring energy security and energy access, as well as sustaining jobs and livelihoods? Given continuing reliance on fossil energy worldwide, which still provides around 80% of the world's energy, the response before us involves a number of pathways. But as we know from analysis from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and the International Energy Agency, we simply cannot meet the 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius targets agreed to in Paris without deployment of carbon management technologies and infrastructure economy-wide and at large scale. This includes carbon capture, direct air capture, and other forms of carbon removal, CO2 transport, and geologic storage, or the conversion of captured carbon emissions into useful products. I know that many East Asian countries are committed to a course of advancing carbon management technologies and infrastructure, and the Asia CCUS network is playing a leading role in forging stronger partnerships for development and deployment of carbon management. At the same time, we're seeing important momentum in the region with the development of carbon pricing schemes and regulatory frameworks for carbon management, as well as a number of projects that are getting underway. We applaud your commitment and contributions to the global effort to meet our shared energy and climate challenges. In the United States, we too have embarked on a determined and unprecedented federal effort to meet our climate and energy security challenges. And President Biden has set goals of a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, zero emissions in the power sector by 2035, and net zero emissions economy-wide by 2050. As you may know, the Department of Energy, and especially the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, has been in the forefront of our drive to develop and deploy carbon capture and storage and other carbon management technologies like direct air capture to meet this challenge. We've also been working to expand and diversify our efforts beyond carbon capture from coal-fired power plants to include carbon capture from natural gas power generation and a wide range of industrial processes, and also coupling these carbon capture technologies to hydrogen production. Two recent developments here in the United States will help us accelerate the deployment of these technologies. The first is the historic opportunity provided by our bipartisan infrastructure law. This is the most significant U.S. energy and climate funding commitment in a generation, providing $62 billion for the Department of Energy overall, and $12 billion in funding over 5 years for research, development, and commercial deployment of carbon management technologies and infrastructure, including carbon capture, direct air capture, and carbon conversion projects, along with regional CO2 transport and storage hubs. It's a historic accomplishment, not just in the amount of money allocated, but because the law extends beyond traditional research and development to fully include commercial scale demonstration and deployment of these critical technologies and infrastructure. In addition to the infrastructure law, the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act was signed by the president last month, and it includes strong carbon management provisions, including robust enhancements to our 45Q tax credit that will incentivize carbon management projects. These improvements include increasing the credit value to $85 per ton of CO2 captured and stored from power plants and industrial facilities, and $180 per ton for direct air capture projects. The tax credit is also being made available for a full 10 years for all projects beginning construction by the end of 2032. Taken together, the bipartisan infrastructure law is providing historic investments from the U.S. federal government, and the comprehensive tax credit provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act will unleash private capital investment in commercial deployment of these technologies. The innovation and cost reductions achieved by these policies will benefit your countries and others as you plan to deploy carbon management technologies and infrastructure going forward. And that brings me to my final point. As we move to advance these technologies, we also need to work with our international partners to strengthen our efforts. And we want to build on our existing partnerships with friends in Asia to advance pathways and technologies that will benefit not just our own countries, but the entire world. So we welcome the opportunity to broaden and deepen our collaboration with you. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak this morning, and I hope this year's forum is productive and successful.